Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. We are finally kicking off today's Dreamhack qualifier. Game number 1, Moscow 5 on the left-hand side in the blue team, facing off against Fragzone on your right-hand side. And that'll, of course, be the purple team or the red team once we actually get into the game. So for everybody that has joined us and that has said hello, the brackets can be located in the channel's description. Just head over to the title for the channel and you'll find it's a binarybeast.com URL. And of course you can see this is an 8-team bracket. We have a whole bunch of top European teams. XHCL facing off against Fnatic. This game will be Moscow 5 against Fragzone. You then have Absolute Legends versus Na'Vi and Counterlogic Gaming versus Teamless. We're into game number 1, match number 1. These are best of 3s, so we're in for a whole bunch of games today. Blitzcrank, Lee Sin, and Ari have all been removed from the pool, and a couple more bans required before we get jumping up into the first game of today. So Jax is the next ban, 2 more remaining. And what you will notice as well, for Moscow 5, they do have Gosu Pepper back on the lineup. When we watched Moscow 5 on Tuesday, they were playing with... I can't remember the name, but unfortunately, because of the time difference, Gosu Pepper wasn't able to stay online. So they did have a substitute, but it was more than, they were still strong enough to qualify for today. And today is the games that count. Today, the top 4 out of these 8 will then be able to make it through to Dreamhack. And we see some slightly unconventional bans. Fiddlesticks and Blitzcrank being removed from the pool. Soraka being removed as well. But of course, Soraka, her healing potential and the power that she's got, and that sustain in lane, is just so difficult to deal with. With regards to the first ban, Diamond Prox has locked in Nocturne. So most likely going to be sitting on Nocturne as well, as he is the jungler for Moscow 5. XL winner on behalf of Fragzone, currently floating over Urgot. And I quite like watching Urgot. I'm going to have to turn off these friend requests. Everybody's spamming me. For everybody that's asking, this is live. I don't know why everybody keeps thinking it's reruns. Reruns don't happen on the weekends, guys. These are live events. I will throw up a little rotating live sticker over one of my banners, maybe. I don't know. I'll have to see. And we're going to have to see whether or not this Urgot is going to be strong enough in the early game to secure any sort of victory. Because, of course, in comparison to your standard AD carries, the likes of your Ashe or Corki, who are available, even Graves, for example, it falls off of that constant DPS right towards the mid and the late game stages. Something interesting to note out as well for everybody that is asking, everybody that is wondering, Darius and the Athene's Unholy Grail are globally banned. Okay, globally banned. They are not part of the pool. They cannot be picked. They cannot be selected. And it's just something to keep in mind, something to remember. We're not going to see that champion. We're not going to see that item in the game world. So, first few picks, we do see a Nocturne and Shen currently being hovered over for Moscow 5 and a Morgana. So that is incredibly powerful. Morgana and Shen, of course, both having great presence. They scale incredibly well into the late game. And giving Darian Shen is a very scary prospect. We've seen Darian playing Shen a couple of times over the last week or 2 weeks. And he's almost unstoppable with that champion. You do see Eve being hovered over. Now, of course, Eve is a placeholder, guys. Do not get excited about that. It just means that Nikard doesn't have the champion they want to actually select. So I'm going to drop him a message really quickly. LM, where is N? And see if we can figure out who is the placeholder for. So don't get excited. That's not actually Eve. That is... a placeholder for Leona. Alright, so we're going to see a Leona Urgot bot lane. Slightly unconventional, but it can work very well. That sword, dash pulling him forward is of course going to help a lot. And now we see some strange picks. Darien now sitting on Riven at the moment. Moscow 5, Riven and Nunu. This is an interesting one. Maybe going for a slightly unconventional bot lane. I haven't seen this one before, so we're going to have to see whether or not this actually gets locked in and selected. And if this is, of course, who they're going to be playing. So, I'd like to see who actually... There we go. It does get swapped to does get swapped over to Kennen. So that's going to be an AD Kennen in the bot lane, supported by Nunu, and that's going to be very, very powerful. The slow from Nunu with that Ice Blast of his, in conjunction with the Blood Boil movement speed buff and attack speed buff that Kennen's going to be picking up, it's going to be very powerful. And as I get all excited about that, it does, in fact, get swapped to a Taric. So you're going to have the Dazzle stun into the Mark of the Storm stun coming out from Kennen, and it's going to be a lot of pain going down onto the Urgot Leona bot lane. That is not an Eve. For everybody that's asking and wondering and spamming, that is not Eve. It is a placeholder, guys. Eve is your standard placeholder champion because she is being reworked, relooked at. So it's just a general rule of thumb. Whenever you see that particular champion, it does mean somebody else is actually going to be put into the lineup. So one more pick for Fragzone. We can see the AP mids. It's going to be Karthus against Morgana. And the solo top is who they need to select. And that's probably going to be a solo top against Darian Shen. Shen versus who? Shen versus who? This is the question. Mozilla is the final one that has to lock in a champion for Fragzone. And you can see they're taking the time about it. They're nervous, they're worrying, they're stressed. They want to see who they're going to put there, who's going to be, and they're going to take in Irelia. So Irelia versus Shen up top. I think that has the potential to go either way. I don't think either champion has a particularly strong strength over their opponents, but it's going to come down to those ganks. It's going to come down to whether or not Nautilus can doesn't bug me. So we are going to be jumping into that. Eve was a placeholder, guys. That was Leona that was in fact going to be selected. So we're going to run through these bans really quickly. We've now jumped straight back into it, so we should just see a quick rerun of those bans. So while we do that, I'm going to quickly put some music up in the background and just have a quick drink of water. And when we're back in 1 minute time, it will be Moscow 5 versus Fragzone. So we are back. We are into the 3-minute countdown before the game begins. I'm going to bring up the brackets really, really quickly. Let's actually just put this over this side here. Of course, we are here for today. This is the final day of the Dreamhack Qualifiers, sponsored by MSI and SteelSeries. Let's zoom in once more on this bracket so you can see exactly how it's going to play out. We have a best of 3 all the way up until the semifinals, guys. All we need to know today is who is our top 4 teams. Game number 1, XHCL facing off against Fnatic. That is currently live. And as the games get finished and completed, the admins will give me updates, and I will, of course, let you know exactly how those are going. We are going to be watching Moscow 5 facing off against Fragzone. Of course, it is a best of 3. The next game that's going to be happening, Absolute Legends versus Na'Vi, and of course Counter Logic Gaming facing off against Teamless. The way that this works, the top 4 teams qualify for Dreamhack. So out of the 8 that are currently in the pool, only 4 of them actually make it to the Dreamhack LAN. The other 4 go home with their bags empty and a very gentle pat on the back. So for game number 1, Moscow 5 versus Fragzone, I want votes. I want to know on chat right now, guys, who is taking this game. You can see the picks. There they are right now. We're into the last minute and a half. We have top lane, Darian Shen, facing off against Mozilla on Aurelia. In the mid lane, Alexish on Morgana, facing off against Defico on Karthus. Bottom lane, Genja and Gosu Pepper, that's a Ken and Tarek, facing off against Nikod and Winner, which is going to be an Urgot Leona, so it's a very, very aggressive bottom lane on behalf of Moscow 5. And of course the junglers, Diamond Prox on Nocturne, and we have Barklunde, is it Barklunde? Barklunde, playing Nautilus. So 2 very, very aggressive gankers, 2 very aggressive junglers. But of course, Nautilus does have this slightly stronger early game ganks, pre-level 6. So I've taken a look at chat. It does look as though Moscow 5 seem to be the favorites, but it's about a 70-30 split. There's a fair number of you guys supporting Fragzone. If you would like to keep tabs on the brackets, keep an eye on the title of this broadcast, guys. I have stuck the title up in the top of there, so the link is available. And of course, we are live. So I'm going to throw up one more ad break, and when we're back, Moscow 5 versus Fragzone for today's qualifier. So adverts are running, and I know that not everybody gets them. So I'm going to quickly just throw up my overlay here. Sorry, it is going to look a little confusing, guys, but I just need to get this updated. Unfortunately, we started a little bit later than we'd hoped for. Casting by QuickShot. There we go. And that's it. So, last 5 seconds of the loading screen. We are then going to be seeing the skins that everybody's going to be wearing. And if you've watched any of my streams before, you know I like to talk about the skins and see which ones are the best ones. Remember, this is a best of 3 game, guys, so it's not over after the first match. Teams do need to win 2 of the 3 to be able to proceed to the next round. There we go. We are loading up. Oh, and Alexish rocking out with Blackthorn Morgana. The only player in the game at the moment to let us down is Diamond Prox. He's currently rocking out just the standard Nocturne. Maybe it's hipster. Maybe you want to go with it that way instead. Keep an eye on that way. So we are into the game, guys. Live. Blackthorn Morgana. This is the first time I have actually seen this particular champion in the game, or this particular skin in the game, rather. And I'm looking forward to seeing the animations. For this very first game, I do unfortunately have to fly solo, because there was a little bit of confusion with regards to the servers, and it did end up meaning my co-caster had to miss this first game. But we are into this, and of course Genja also rocking his skinless on Kennen. I missed that during the loading screen. My bad. But look at this Blackthorn. Wow, what an amazing amount of detail in that skin. Although her hands do look a little strange. That run animation looks weird to me. So anyways, we are seeing a pretty aggressive start on behalf of Fragzone. We can see the players collecting up in this top tri-bush. We're going to see whether or not anybody gets caught out. They do have that Leonia stun, Shield of Daybreak. The next auto attack is going to land an on-hit stun, and Diamond Prox is going to be face-checking. Here it comes. Huge damage onto Diamond Prox. Will the Ignite tick down? He is going to get away with 2 hit points, but a flash auto attack from Aurelia does secure first blood. And Fragzone off to a great start. Interesting as well, because Alexish, he had thrown the Dark Binding. You could hear the sound effect. You could hear that bang. And Diamond Prox still pushed forward. Diamond Prox still was walking forward, so I'm not quite sure what the thinking was there. And of course, it was a very, very late invade, so a bit nerve-wracking, a bit scary. First blood goes the way of Moscow 5. It also goes to Aurelia, so she's been able to port back. She's got pots, boots, and the wards at the moment. Currently sitting on... How much gold is that at the moment? 322, so opted not to pick up the... like a cloth armor or something similar. Saving that gold, going to be putting towards her first decent item. We also see on the bottom lane, Nikod is pulling forward to try and steal some of these raids. But look at the leash from Genja and Gosu Pepper, giving those golems a huge run around, pulling it all the way back to the lizard buff. And now it has reset, so look at the plus 48 hit points, plus 48 hit points, plus 48 hit points. All the damage that they were putting down has been reset, and they are forced to head back into the lane. So the big golem is going to be able to help, or is going to be staying there until it's been killed by Diamond Prox. And of course, that does put him a little bit behind. He misses out the XP and their gold on that smaller golem, but it's not the end of the world. It's not really going to make a huge difference at this stage in the game. Middle lane, Alexish on Morgana. Have a quick look at how he's skilled his particular champion. 489 hit points, 9 and then 10% spell penetration. Movement speed a little bit higher than standard, so interesting selection on runes at the moment. 12 mana per 5 and 22 AP. Have a look at how Darian has skilled his Shen at the moment. 0 and then 10% pen. Move speed of 310, only with that Doran's shield. Armor of 50 and magic resist to 42, so probably fat MR runes on that particular one. This is game number 1 of today's qualifiers, guys. We are 100% live. And Moscow 5 are down in the bottom left-hand side. They've already given up first blood. Irelia on the top lane, though. She's playing very, very passively. Currently a little bit behind on CS. The award coming down from Winner. Really aggressive. That's going to give vision on Gosu Pepper. And it's just going to allow that bot lane of Fragzone to react to those dazzle stuns slightly more effectively, be able to see the positioning on Gosu Pepper, and just move themselves backwards, put themselves into safety quicker than what they need to. If anybody is getting any lag, just be sure to drop those quality settings. And just give it a bash there. So now Mozilla's got a huge wave on this top lane. This is the first creep. Look at the moment. 1 point into each of the respective abilities. Cooldown reduction 1.3%, attack speed slightly higher than standard, and then the defenses as well. 45 armor, 46 MR. Here goes the level up, so it bumps up those numbers a short amount. Now, Kennan's another interesting one to have a look at. 0.87 attack speed, 6 and then 10% on the armor penetration. And he gets that armor buff from Taric as well, so that's going to be helping out some of the damage that Urgot's putting out. And of course, Kennen, AD Kennen, is a very aggressive bot lane champion. He doesn't have to manage his mana. Oh, a very aggressive push from Winner. Does land a corrosive charge. That's one Acid Hunter. The stun comes on from Gosu Pepper, so no additional Acid Hunters are tossed out. And look at the animation on that Dark Binding. Really cool. Whole new graphic and missile. And I like it. I'm a fan. So what I was mentioning there in that bottom lane, Kennen, of course, not having mana to rely on, not being able to, or not having to worry about spamming those abilities, gives him a lot of pressure. There goes a taunt from Darian. Duskbringer does land onto Mozilla. Spell Shield was up by Diamond Prox. Mozilla does manage to break the fear while I'm busy watching this top lane. A kill does happen on the bottom lane. So we'll do a quick rewind and have a look at exactly how that happened. Oh, no, we're not going to do that right now. We are on live. There goes the Shadow Dash taunt. Duskbringer out. Red buff slow is on Mozilla. Still trying to get away, still chasing and juking. One more Vorpal Blade. It's just going to take 1 or 2 more auto attacks, and that finally does get the kill. So let's quickly rewind to that bottom lane. And we are having a look. Oh, I'm going to have to rewind just a tad further. Sorry about that, guys. So there comes the kill. Nautilus did move in. The Riptide and just the complete stun lock coming out from the champions was all that was required. And there's, of course, the kill in fast forward on the top lane. We're now on directed camera. So, of course, directed camera is going to give us the ability to not miss any of the action while we fast forward to real time. Fragzone opening up an early lead, 2-1 in the kills, already 1,000 gold ahead. Both junglers managing to be successful on their first ganks. And are Fragzone going to be able to keep this up? Are Fragzone going to be able to continue this pressure and continue applying enough pressure to pick up kills? That is the real question. So we are now back up to live. Turn off the directed camera and keep an eye on that. Nikot does not have any mana. 47 armor, 44 magic resist, and mana regen in the region of about +2, +3 per second. So very low at the moment. He's not going to be able to use those corrosive charges or those acid hunters. And of course, not having a Soraka in your lane to be able to replenish that mana from the infuse, it does slow it down just a little bit, or slow down that the aggressive play that you can put out. So we are seeing Nikot recalling. So he's going to be heading back, going to spend some of the gold that he's earned, sitting on 1,500 gold. So we're most likely going to see a Brutalizer or maybe a Glacial Shroud, the first part of that item. Let's have a look. I'm going to be working towards this. A double Doran's Blade and a long sword, so it's probably going to be working towards that Brutalizer. It's pretty standard on Urgots these days. Get a little bit of armor penetration, build a little bit of tanky, a little bit of mana. And even with the kill advantage and first blood, the gold difference is only 400. Mozilla does have a particularly huge wave sitting in front of his champion right now, though, so that'll maybe be benefiting or being able to balance that gap just a little bit. Deficio, how do I say this nickname? Somebody help me out on chat. Deficio? That's the spelling anyway. I'm not quite sure how it would be pronounced. Of course, you are watching Moscow 5 on the left-hand side of your screen, facing off against Fragzone on the top right. Oop, a little bit of a camera misclick there. And it looks as though, other than the single gank from both champions, it's been fairly passive. Neither lane has really gone overly aggressive. None of the lanes have really put like a huge focus on harassment and aggression. Little exchanges back and forth, but Shen up in the top lane, and then of course Nautilus down in the bot lane, both leading to the additional kills that have been secured. And there's some vision on behalf of Fragzone. 4 wards in the river. So that's cover for Nocturne. Very deep ward near the Baron Pit in that top lane. And I like seeing that because Diamond Prox has hit level 6, which means he's going to be able to be using that Paranoia ability. And of course, having the deeper ward down closer in the river, it allows you to see him coming in, allows you to see the cast actually beginning. On the flip side, Moscow 5, they only have wards in and around this mid area. Red bush near the Wraiths, and of course the entry into the blue buff. So a bit more vision on behalf of Fragzone. But of course, having a Nocturne, that's probably the reasoning for it. Nocturne can gank through wards, can dive straight over them, straight past them. 1 to 2 is your kill score at the moment. And it's just very passive. You know, neither team, there's a lot on the line here. If you lose that first game, it's a big psychological disadvantage to be sitting in a position where you know there are only 2 games remaining and you have to win them. You cannot afford to have a single mistake. You cannot afford to be out of position at all in those games. And of course, if you can pick up that first victory, the confidence that it gives you leading to things are very good. Dark Binding. Unfortunately, no Tormented Soil because Alexish had used it on the creeps. So only the Dark Binding damage coming out onto Deficio in the middle lane. And I think our schizophrenic directed camera can go off for a little bit. It's chopping and changing just a little more than I would like. And there's not too much to say at the moment. I mean, Gold Graph sitting 400, 500 gold difference. We do see, and here comes the Hyperkinetic position reverser. Genja immediately gets flicked backwards. Very nice dive from Winner. That's going to lock him up with a stun. The AoE slicing Maelstrom has come out. The first kill, Genja's going to go down. Now we do see the Stand United come out. It was able to delay the death of Genja for a small time. And compliments of all the damage that Slicing Maelstrom had done. Darien does pick up a counter kill onto Winner. That's Leona. But a 2-for-1 exchange, and Fragzone looking like they're here to play. Fragzone looking like they're on the way to potentially a game victory. But of course, we are only 10 minutes in, so we can't be predicting that right now. Some very smart moves from Moscow 5. They know that Leona's was down, and of course, Nikod had recalled. So they're going to immediately reply. Even though they gave up 2 kills, they are not behind on gold. Their 400, 500 gold difference still remains. Look, it's 13-6 to 14-2, and they pick up a dragon. So really good play by Moscow 5. Understanding the damage that they have with Darien and Diamond Prox, and able to pick up a map objective. So Dragon going down around the 11-minute mark, which means it will be back at 17 minutes. In and around the 17-minute mark was when the next Dragon's going to be back. A quick look at the farm at the moment. Mid lane, 95 to 96. Top lane, 79 on Darien to 78 on Mozilla. Bottom lane, 72 on Genja to the 62 on Nikod. So a 10 difference. But of course, Nikod is currently sitting 2-0-2, so that's more than going to make up for it. Now I'm going to have to see, are they going to push? I've just seen the little collection of champion faces in the mid lane. But not going to go for the tower dive just yet. Alexish does have those soul shackles available, but opting not to use it under the tower. Doesn't want to play more aggressive than they need to. And it's a smart move. It's the best way to play. Don't give away anything that you don't need to give away. Anybody that is asking or wondering, I do have a co-caster being set up or on the way. Unfortunately, because it is US time, a few of the guys are a little bit asleep. So as soon as my co-caster does get up, or wakes up rather, they'll be joining us. It should be within the next 30 to 40 minutes. And at the minute, once again, just settling back into this relaxing. Just settling back into the passive laning phase. It's a little bit, I don't want to use the word dull. 2 to 4, 30 minutes, we do have 6 kills in, so that's every 2 or 3 minutes. But none of the champions are really playing hyper-aggressively. On the top lane, though, Darien has been able to keep Mozilla pushed back to his tower the majority of this game. Every time we move up to this top lane, Mozilla's sitting on his tower, and he's forced to be CSing under his, under his tower hits, etc. We do see him falling back immediately. Diamond Prox was revealed by that ward, and as soon as the little champion icon, popped up, Mozilla dived backwards. Darien, of course, with fairly tanky 82 armor, the Giant's belt, he'll be able to tank quite a few turret hits. And I think Mozilla was afraid of a paranoia tower dive. So fairly smart play, but it is starting to zone him. Slowly increasing, 10 creep score ahead. And now we see Nautilus coming into this bottom lane. There goes the Karthus ultimate. Requiem is out. Depth charge and dredge line. They're going to completely lock up Genja and Gosu Papa. And what a double kill. 1 kill going to Nautilus, 1 kill going to Leona. Karthus involved in the double there. The Requiem ability used to open up that fight, put some damage down. Fragzone, they look to be in very, very good control. There goes the Dark Binding as well as the Tormented Soil. And 1 Dark Binding Tormented Soil combo drops Deficio down to less than half life. I wonder how the votes feel, guys. I wonder how the votes feel. Has anybody changed their mind? Do you think Fragzone potentially stand a chance to win this game? 2-0-4 Nautilus, 2-0-4 Urgot. Urgot, of course, he has opened with that Brutalizer. He's also picked up a Chain Vest and the Mana Crystal. So that's the first items going towards that Frozen Heart. I think it's the Glacial Shroud. The first tier item. And that's increased the gold graph now a little bit more significantly. At the 15-minute mark, we're now up to about 1,500 gold. We'll see how that's split at the moment. Urgot, 4,000 gold to Kenan's 3,600. Nautilus, 3,900 gold to Nocturne's 3,500. So it's not too noticeable. Only 400 gold between the champions. And that doesn't really add up to a huge amount. It needs to hit the sort of 1,000, 1,200 mark before you start seeing a noticeable big item difference. But if they can continue to pressure this bot lane, and if they can continue to pick up kills, it's going to set them up very well. It's something interesting to look at. Even with all of the kills that have been happening, Nikod is still 13 or 14, make that 15 CS behind Genja. Yes, he's got the kills and the assists, but he's still sitting behind when it comes to creep score count. And it just shows you the power of AD Cannon in conjunction with that guaranteed stun from Taric. So 2-6 is your score, 15 minutes in, no towers down, only the 1 dragon. And the next dragon is going to be the next team fight, or the next couple of kills. I don't think either team is going to be setting up ganks or kills, knowing that around 17 minutes, 16:50, 17 minutes is when the dragon's going to be up. And we're going to have to see who is in position for it. We do, of course, have Darien with Stand United. That is on cooldown at the moment. And we'll be back very, very shortly. Diamond Prox and Alexius opting to put some pressure onto this middle lane. Not getting stunned or snared, rather, from Nautilus's passive from that auto attack. What is the name of it at the moment? Staggering Blow. It wasn't able to stun him. Compliments of Morgana's Black Shield. They aren't able to take the tower down, but they put some decent damage onto it. And Dragon, very, very soon to be popping up. Having a look at how Genja is skilling his cannon. 5 points into the Electrical Surge. 2 points into Lightning Rush. Only a single point into Thundering Shuriken. And that makes sense because Thundering Shuriken is his primary damage ability if you're playing him AP. If you're playing him for ability power, that is your main, a damaging skill. I believe it's got a 0.75 or so AP ratio. And you can see Fragzone, they are very warded up for this bush, or for this dragon. And look at the vision. 1, 2, 3 wards, several pink wards down. In reply, Moscow 5 do have a whole bunch, but now we do see a 4-man moving forward. They are managing to push onto Defekio, so that's going to be the first kill. Are they going to be able to get away? A very nice stun from Leona, but the spell immune means that it doesn't actually affect Shen. Paranoia comes out to block the vision. They pull Alexish backwards, compliments of the dredge line, and it's a 1-for-1 trade. Karthus and Alexish go down, and while that's happening, Genja, Diamond, Prox, and Gosu Pepper now manage to pick up the dragon. So even though they are 4 kills behind, they are only 300 gold. Both dragons going the way of Moscow 5. Mozilla flashes over the wall very, very aggressively, but no support from the rest of his team means he is forced to fall backwards. That is the flash burn. Dazzle underneath the tower range. Still considering this fight, they still want to push. Barklunder's now moving forward. The dredge line onto the creep pulls him a little bit closer, but he didn't have his depth charge available. He wasn't able to throw that ultimate out and knocking anybody up. So will Fragzone be able to pick up this first tower? Had they all stayed, they may have been able to, but Mozilla opting to port back, not wanting to lose too many creeps on that top tower, on that top lane. But very well played from Moscow 5. Diamond Prox and Alexish, they pulled the champions away. It was a 4-man gank in the middle. They attracted all of the attention up to, you know, the red buff area on Fragzone's jungle, and Genja, Diamond Prox, and Gosu Pepper then just took the dragon. So yes, they did trade 1-for-1 in kills, but picking up that dragon means they are now bang even on gold, compliments of the superior farm, and the 2,000 team gold that's been collected from those drakes. So the next drake's at about the 23-minute mark. I just have to say to remind myself, that is the the memory or the trick you have to do. If you don't say it out loud, you never remember. Item-wise at the moment, Genja in the bottom lane, he's got all the ingredients for his Wriggles Lantern, sitting on 1,300 gold. So we can assume he's going to be saving up another 50 to 100 gold more. Most likely going to complete a Zeal and that Wriggles Lantern, and a very nice dash forward there from onto Gosu Pepper. He gets locked and stunned. The slow is out, but now it's been turned around. The Shen ultimate has dived in, and XL Winner opting to save Nikod, moving towards the tower of Moscow 5. And a very, very nice gank. They were hoping to put more damage down onto Gosu Pepper than they were actually able to land. Stand United from Shen also prevents a lot of that damage. Now there's the Dazzle stun, the Electrical Surge, the Lightning Rush does land. Electrical Surge will be out in a few seconds. The Exhaust is down onto Nikod. Flash has been burned. There's another tick. One more of the stun will be out shortly. Gosu Pepper's been tanking. The position reverser comes out well under the tower. Now Gosu Pepper might go down to the turret. We do have Alexish just in range. The Requiem put a lot of damage down. But wow, all of that damage, that entire fight, all of those abilities, and nobody dies just yet. So smart move by Nikod, getting that bonus magic resist and armor. What is it at this point? Rank 1 adds an additional 80 armor and magic resist, and he was able to channel it under the tower as well. So it prevented Genja doing any additional damage, and allowed the turrets to keep hitting Genja for a little bit more DPS as well. Genja getting away by the skin of his teeth. Less than 100 hit points. Morgana was very close by, though. So great map awareness and great communication from Moscow 5 to know that that tower dive was going on. And, of course, Morgana was able to move down into that bottom right-hand corner, the bottom tri-bush, to help out if anybody was, you know, there or potentially chasing. And Moscow 5 take the gold lead. You know, the amount of time that Fragzone have spent, you know, recalling or out of lane, it does mean they've been, you know, farming less effectively. 30 CS on the bottom lane. Mid is completely even. 15 on the top lane. And in the jungle is a big difference as well. Diamond Prox on 114 CS to the 77 of Barklunda. So that's a huge, huge advantage. Even though Barklunda does have the kills and assists, he is being out-CS'd. And that is where the gold really comes from for Moscow 5. 4-7, we've hit the 20-minute mark. No towers down yet. But I think the next death that takes place, or the next kill that manages to get secured, will potentially result in a tower. A lot of the towers, top lane down to about half-life, mid towers down to about half-life as well. Below half, actually. Bottom lane, just a little bit of damage, but of course the Moscow 5 one's been hit a little bit. So we'll be seeing the towers going down, and then the game transitioning into the team fight stage. A very, very nice step aside there from Genja. Manages to dodge the corrosive charge. They put some damage onto Gosu Pepper. The Requiem might be enough to pick it up. The position reverser goes out. Stand United from Shen is going to be enough to save him. And then all of a sudden everybody falls backwards, and a flash shadow dash is going to lock Winner up. The auto attacks with the red buff is going to be enough to actually pick up that kill. And what a counter gank. Darien Stand United manages to block 557 damage for 5 seconds. Combine that with the fact that Genji was able to interrupt the position reverser. And that was very, very powerful. So Darien now, Sunfire Cape as well as that Wit's End completed. He's going to be porting back, spending a little bit of that gold. And as we mentioned, the next kills was going to result in the tower kill, or tower going down. But it was a reverse. Mozilla pushed on that top lane. 175, completely even on CS, and has 1,800 gold, so not having those 4 assists or the 2 dragons under her belt means she's a little bit behind in items. But the tower gold is going to push Fragzone now slightly ahead. And now we're going to see how do Fragzone play it. Fragzone have the tower advantage. Fragzone have the ability to get Aurelia to start roaming. Mozilla can move around the map. Mozilla can come to mid lane, come to bot lane, start setting up ganks, setting up for frags and kills, etc. Are they going to opt to do that, or is Mozilla going to continue to stay in this top lane and try farm it out further? Try to farm out, pick up a few more items, stall the game, keep it at the slower pace. Having lost the tower, that's going to be less likely. And how are Frags going to handle Darien split pushing? Now we've transitioned now into this next stage of the game where Darien is going to be potentially in the top lane almost perma. I mean, Stand United is almost available of cool. It's still on cooldown. Will be available shortly, and he's going to be able to join a team fight at a moment's notice. He's going to be able to just dive in there, prevent 550 odd damage, and potentially, a little bit of a face check. That Shadow Dash, unfortunately, not going through the wall. That's not something you see every day. And we do see the vision or the damage going down onto that Vorpal Blade. Here's the dragon at the moment. 2,000 hit points. Paranoia goes out just to block vision and to secure the dragon kill. Diamond Prox knowing exactly if there's no vision from Fragzone, they're not able to flash forward and smite or come in with any other abilities. So great game sense and great play coming out from Diamond Prox. Very nice Dredge Knight. He's going to pull Darien forward, but I don't think this is who Fragzone should be committing to. A Dark Binding does land into Nautilus in the background. We do have a 5 versus 5. The Shadow Dash goes through the wall. This time Darien doesn't face plant it. Gets to safety. And now that's the ultimate from Mozilla has been blown. Transcendent Blades is on cooldown, and it's going to be for another 50 seconds. Whether or not that's going to make a difference in a big team fight or not remains to be seen. But we're 3 for 3 as far as dragons go. And all it cost was Paranoia. Paranoia is almost a third away off cooldown. And Fragzone trying to siege this middle lane. Fragzone trying to push it down. We do see Genja picking up the Wraith Camp. And we see Morgana and Nocturne moving up to the blue buff. So this may cost him this tower. Alexish is moving back into the lane so that he has secured his blue buff, but has been unable to defend that middle tower, unfortunately. So it's 2 for 1 in terms of towers. Fragzone technically with a slightly stronger map advantage. Having some great dragon vision, great river vision, as well as having the mid and the top lane turret. It's going to allow this to move around just a little bit. Darien's going to be moving forward. The Dredge line just misses compliments of that Shadow Dash, being able to put him to safety. And I don't see an Oracle's Elixir on Moscow 5 at the moment. None of their champions currently wearing that vision or being able to see the wards. But we do see Baklunda. He has had that Oracle's Elixir for several minutes now, been able to destroy several wards. And of course, the less vision that your opponents have, the more advantageous your particular position is going to be. If you can control vision, control the engagements, you can win the team fights, you can catch people out of place. Goal difference of 1,000. It's been pretty much bang on even the majority of the game. Small swings here and there, but nothing to write home about. And in terms of items, we see Urgot, 159 CS. He's got the Glacial Shroud, Brutalizer, and a pickaxe. So we'll see what that's going to be building towards. It could potentially be a Maw of Malmortius. It's not uncommon to see that on Urgots, but I'm not 100% certain what he wants to build it into. He's got that Glacial Shroud. It could potentially finish that off into his Frozen Heart, which is going to help quite a lot against the likes of Nocturne, Shen, and Kennen, who all rely on their auto attacks fairly significantly. It could, of course, be additional, in terms of Urgot, it could also additional the Last Whisper to get additional armor penetration. He's currently sitting on 15 and then 10%. Gold-wise, 1,230 in the bank. So we need a couple of hundred extra if it is going to be that Last Whisperer. Morgana, Death Cap completed. needlessly large rod, as well as an amplifying tome. And something else just to mention, guys, just to remind everybody, for today's competition, huge pressure going down. Darian Mozilla back and forth, back and forth. The damage is massive. Requiem comes out. Compliments of the Requiem. It is going to be enough to actually kill Darian. But without that Requiem there, Mozilla would have gone down. And wow, it was just auto attack after auto attack after auto attack. Did manage to get an additional kill on Darian. But what I was mentioning before, the auto bans, we are playing in the live realm, so this is not the tournament realm, and what that means is Darius is available, as is the Athene's Unholy Grail. Both are auto banned. They are not allowed to be picked, selected, or added in. Alexis is going to flash over. Soul Shackles is up, but Klunda does flash away, but he does eat a dazzle from Ghost Pepper, maybe a second too late. She was able to get away, compliments of that flash. And just being able to get it. So that's the flash down from Alexis. A couple of minutes on cooldown. He's going to have to wait to get back into the... be able to wait to do that. Wait for the cooldown to get back before he can flash Soul Shackle and an entire team. And of course, no Athene's Unholy Grail, no Darius, but the remainder of the balances are live and in effect. So keep that in mind. We are on the latest realm, latest live server, live patch. Just those things are removed from the pool. So Phantom Dancer is completed on Genja, currently sitting on 1.7 attacks per second. The position reverser comes out, still taking the turret hits, and Nikard has got very great positioning. The Ignite is down. If he can land one more Acid Hunter, that's going to finish off Genja. And great play from Nikard. The flash position reverser, while tanking turret, being able to keep him in turret range and get the extra damage from the turret. Great play from Nikard. 4-0-4, and Urgot is just doing great at the moment. Hex Trinker is completed, so I think that Pickaxe is going to be working towards a more of Malmortius. Gozu Pep has now been caught out. Just trying to clear out wards, and that Oracle's Elixir had just been drank on him as well. It's only a couple of minutes, 2 minutes or so with that Oracle's Elixir, and that's immediately been lost. So 10-5 is the kill difference. Moscow 5 giving up 2 relatively easy kills, or, being a little bit out of position, a little bit over-aggressive. And Fragzone looking like they're going to take down a turret. So they've got 2 turrets in the advantage already. May be able to siege this one down as well. Darian is trying to split push up in this top lane. Does have Stand United available. But I don't think Moscow 5 are going to pick a fight 3v4 or 3v5. And Fragzone looking really, really strong at the moment. Even though they do, they're only 1,000 gold ahead, considering it is 5 kills and 2 turrets. If they can continue the pressure, if they can continue picking up the kills where they can find them, where somebody's out of place, somebody's been caught out in the river or something similar, the Wall of Pain does land, and Darren is going to be trying to get away. Shadow dashes through the wall. What a juke. Knowing where to run. Stand United is still available, but there's a lot of crowd control, so if he's going to try use that to escape, he's going to time it very, very well. But Klunda not opting to go for that dredge line. And all the focus on Darian means Moscow 5 pick up another dragon. So that's 4 for 4 as far as dragons go. And what a play. I mean, whether or not that's intentional, whether or not that's just taking advantage of the situation, it's going to remain to be seen. But now we do see Fragzone. They are hitting Baron. They have started Baron Nashor. It's down to below half health, 6,200 hit points. They have pulled away. Now Winner is going to pull himself forward onto Alexis, but is unable to land the stun thanks to the Black Shield. Dredge line pulls Alexis backwards, as well as the position reverser. We do have the Soul Shackles up. That's going to lock up the entire Fragzone team. First kill is going to be Karthus, followed very, very quickly by Nautilus. Now Diamond Prox is on the way out. Requiem should be able to pick up a kill onto him, though. And we're going to push him to the top lane. Mozilla and Winner trying to get away. And a 3-for-0 exchange. Diamond Prox not only able to survive that entire fight, but was able to survive the Requiem after Karthus had been blown up. And Alexis with a 5-man stun on Fragzone. 5-man. He was standing in and amongst everybody. He managed to get that Zonya's Hourglass proc. Managed to stay alive for a few seconds. And the entire Fragzone team stuck around. So the AoE from Slicing Maelstrom, the AoE from Soul Shackles, and that was all that was required. Now Winner overextends his bounds. Gets taken up by Genja in a very, very easy kill. Moscow 5 pick up a quick 4 kills. 3 in the team fight, 1 following up, and a Baron Nashor. Extend the gold lead to 4,000 gold. Picking up all that bonus gold from the kill on Urgot, the kill on Nautilus. And great, great play. Stand United thrown out by Darien as well. I didn't see who were targeted, but I'm fairly confident it would have been Morgana. Or at least maybe even Diamond Prox diving in amongst the group of them. Shadow Dash manages to land on a whole bunch of the champions, and Moscow 5 now complete in the driving seat. I'm going to have to see exactly what happens with the remainder of this fight now. 5,000 gold advantage. They only managed to pick up one tower out of that. And of course, having the Baron buff is going to give them about 4 minutes of even superior strength, even better, power. Look at what Alexis has built as well. He's got a Kage's Lucky Pick and the Blasting One, so that's probably going to be built into a Death Fire Grasp. And of course, that's just going to increase the single target burst that she can put out. More of Mortius has been completed on Urgot, so that is what the pickaxe was for. And now he's looking like he's going to be finishing that Frozen Heart. Irelia has finished her Randian's Omen. And top lane Darien, looking like he's going to go Trinity Force Shen. He's going for that DPS build. Zeal completed, sitting on a Ruby Crystal, and around 2,800 gold. So that's about the quantity, or the amount of gold you would need to finish a Triforce with those items. And when you're playing 117, 273 CS, you can afford to go for slightly more DPS focused build. Alexis in the mid lane, 296 CS to the 302 of Karthus. Karthus, 0 kills on the board, but 8 assists. That Requiem of Years has only been able to pick up assists thus far. He hasn't been able to close off any kills. Genja, 1.7 attack speed. Phantom Dawn's Infinity Edge and the Wriggles Lantern completed. In comparison to his counterpart, or at least his opposing lane member, he's gone for the tanky build on Urgot. Frozen Heart, more of my Mortius, and the Brutalizer. How much gold is he sitting on at the moment? Only 52 gold, 9,500 to the 11,500 of Genja. And that's a big difference. 2k gold, BF Sword and Vamp Scepter difference. And Moscow 5, not really playing too aggressively. 2/3 of the Baron buff has been used already. They've been picking up map points, they've been picking up farm, shopping a little bit, but they haven't pushed any objectives down. They've decided, or they haven't pushed any lanes necessarily hard, or gone for any towers, other than that mid lane tower. And that was really just a little bit of a free once. Now we do see XL Winner potentially going to get caught out. Nobody wants to dive on him though. And you can see there's a lot on the line. You can see that both of these teams, they're not trying to make any mistakes. They're not trying to play overly aggressive. Because, of course, once you're out, you're out. This is a double elimination, best of 3 tournament. And Alexis does get pulled forward, but cannot be stunned. Compliments of that Black Shield. And now we finally see some aggression. The last sort of 20% of Baron buff is ticking down. You see Darien and Genja up in this middle lane. They're pushing down the turret. In the bottom lane, you've got, of course, Nocturne, Taric, and Morgana. And if you lose a best of 3 here, you drop down to the lower bracket. If a team loses the following lower bracket game, that's it. They are out. They are removed from the tournament, and they do not qualify for Dreamhack. Top 8 teams, only 4 of them available. The brackets are in chat, so you can jump over there, check it out, see who's playing where. And just with this split pushing, this is just, it reminds me of CLG US actually. Continually just leaving the likes of Hotshot up in the top lane. In this case, of course, it's Darien on Shen. And just push the lanes down, just poke the towers, poke the towers, poke the towers until eventually you pick up a kill. It took 4 minutes, well, call it 3 minutes. But eventually they picked up that mid tower. Now they're applying pressure on the top tower and pressure on the bottom tower. Now, Diamond Proxy has used that spell shield of his. The Fear is out on Mozilla. Fear does proc. It buys him a little bit of time to get away. The Death Charge is in range, and a very nice Dark Binding from Alexis. Does put stop Nautilus in his track. Now, they've turned the pressure on. The Flash forward and the Soul Shackles. It doesn't manage to lock anybody. Flashes have been burned to get away. The Fear is going to stop Mozilla, and a max range Dark Binding coming out from Alexis. Now, the Slicing Maelstrom is in and amongst the rest of this, stunning up each member of Fragzone currently caught in it, but the damage on Alexis is great. He has no more mana for any further abilities. Stand United has been blown as well. That was to save Kenan, I believe. All of those abilities, all of those flashes, and not one death thus far. Mozilla dashing forward. The position reversal does catch Diamond Prox. They're immediately going to blow Diamond Prox up. The kill does go the way of Baklunda. And that's going to open up the dragon. That might be the first dragon that Fragzone will be able to collect. but just so much pressure, so much, constant attacks, all of the abilities used, all of the flashes. Take a look at the summoner spells, guys. Leona, everything blown. Nautilus, everything blown. On Fragzone, the only summoner spell that's available is Flash from Deficio, and he was fairly late to the party. Flash available for both Genji and Darien, but every other Flash, Ignite, Exhaust, Stand United, all of the ultimates used. And Fragzone pick up their first dragon at the 40-minute mark. The remaining ones have been, of course, picked up by Moscow 5. And Moscow 5 still in the advantage. They've got a tower lead. They also have a 5,500 gold lead as well. But this late in the game, it's not very noticeable. 40 minutes in, 5k is a fairly small number. Shen has completed the Trinity Force. So that I like to see, and I'd like to keep an eye on his damage, actually. The Zeke's Herald is finished on Gosu Pepper as well, and I really, really like that. Look at the attack speed on Genji at the moment now, 1.9. When in range of Gosu Pepper, his... let's quickly just go back to him. Spellvamp Lifesteal, rather, currently sitting at 30%. Compliments of the Wriggles and the Zeke's bonus. And all of the attack speed, that's going to help. Nocturne, Kennen, and Shen. So I like the build, I like the items. Shurelia's Reverie's not completed for Moscow 5 just yet, which is very interesting. And we do have 2 Shurelias completed for Fragzone. So the initiation ability is quite a bit stronger. We're also working towards seeing a second Frozen Heart being completed. That'll be on Nautilus fairly soon. And I believe Nautilus will probably work that Heart of Gold into a Randian's Omen as well. So you've got a lot of tankiness, you've got a lot of debuffs coming out. A very aggressive Paranoia. That dives onto Nikon. He's immediately forced backwards. Position Reverser is available though. Soul Shackles has been popped by Alexa. She's going to stun a few people, but not going to do anything to really save her life after the Hourglass has been popped. Urgot is finally going to fall. The Requiem coming out from Karthus. That's not going to be able to pick up any kills. Gosu Pepper's forced backwards. Moscow 5 coming out significantly further ahead. Even though it took them a long time to get those kills, the focus was on Morgana and the focus was on Taric. And they only managed to kill Morgana. The CC, all of the taunt from Shen, the AoE stun from Genja. And of course, just the damage that he's able to put out, all those auto attacks and the slicing Maelstrom. 210 magic damage per storm, and it can apply a whole bunch of them. Means Moscow 5 come out ahead, and now they're going to pick up Baron Nashor. Pulled the gold lead to 8,000 right now, and what looked like a bad fight for Moscow 5, what looked like Morgana going down super early, just allowed all of that AoE damage to tick over, and then Moscow 5 were just able to clean up. Even though they lost the champion early, all of the AoE that they were putting down meant that several members of Fragzone were low. And the damage that Triforce, Witse, and Shen can put out, as well as the stick ability of Genji's Kennen, with red buff, that lightning, the lightning surge, as well as the stun that he can put down, just able to stick them out, chase them down and finish off the kills. Leone at the minute, 40 minutes in, has still not completed boots. Still sitting on boots of speed. And is that cooldown? There we go. It was the cooldown for Hourglass coming out from Karthus as well. Deficio 139 on Karthus. Been involved in almost all of the kills for Fragzone. And with these last 2 team fights, finally Moscow 5 have the kill score lead, the tower lead, and the gold lead. In terms of itemization as well, keep a close eye on all the AoEs. You've got Aegis of the Legion on Nocturne. Of course, we mentioned it already, the Zeke's Herald and Aegis of the Legion on Shen as well. So that's double. No Shurelias yet, I mentioned that. And I'd like to see a Shurelias. I'd like to see that speed boost that can be given in conjunction with, the Soul Shackles, in conjunction with the Lightning Rush. Moscow 5 versus Fragzone. I think chat might think Fragzone or Moscow 5 stand a good chance. They've pulled very far ahead. 2 consecutive Barons. They've only lost 1 Dragon this entire game. There's their vision at the moment. Not very aggressive in terms of the jungle. But at the very least, it was to cover Baron. Defensive wards on behalf of Fragzone. And really just letting them know when the Moscow 5 are evading. And it's not really giving them a lot more control or a lot more vision after that. But it's been a very good show. And Alexa, she does have that Deathfire Grass complete. She's probably had it for a little while. I just missed it in that last fight. Currently sitting on Amp Tome. And we'll probably see that going towards a Void Staff. Just increasing that magic resist. Increasing the amount of damage they can actually put out. Irelia at the moment, still not finished with Trinity Force. Does have Randian's Omen, which is pretty useful. Now we're going to see whether or not an engagement actually happens. Yeah, Alexis just setting up in the background. Tormented Soil goes down. The Dark Binding lands onto Winner. Winner is instantly going to be blown up and focused. Paranoia is going to dive forward, but a Ghost coming out from Leona means he gets away. A long-range Shadow Dash from Darian manages to get close enough to pick up the last hit onto Karthus. Requiem finally blown in the background. A very nice Leona stun. Locks everybody up under the turret. There's 2 stuns, 3 slows. And only the 1 kill. Karthus the only champion to go down in that entire fight. But look at the hit points. Look how low Nautilus was. Look how low Winner was. It allows Moscow 5 to push forward. And all of that coming from 1 Dark Binding. Alexish landed the Dark Binding from behind the wall that locked up Baklunda. And of course, Moscow 5 then just committed. If anybody's been watching them since Ukraine, Alexish had the very good quote. Look at the damage there. The taunt, Mazella's just going to get focused down now. Couple of auto attacks, the stuns, the slows, the snares, the fear. There's no ways that even Irelia can get away from a 5-man team. Alexish driving home the victory. 42.5 minutes. Pick up game number 1 against Fragzone. And 1 Dark Binding turned it. 1 Dark Binding. Had that Dark Binding not landed, may have been able to drag the game out for a few more minutes. At least that was the turning point for the final game. But of course, Moscow 5 were in the driving seat for quite a while. So congratulations to them. There's the final scores. I'm going to pull up the damage graphs in just a second. Let's have a quick look over here. I love looking at damage done. Across the board, Karthus picking up a lot of damage at the moment. Unfortunately, I can't split these against minions and champions. But really great play, really great pressure coming up from Moscow 5. And you can see the DPS, how it's split between 4 champions. Urgot, Nautilus and Urgot just not on the same level as in terms of DPS that the champions were on behalf of Moscow 5. So that is, of course, the first game for today's qualifier. I am going to be putting some music up in the background. I think we're going to jump into game number 2 of Moscow 5 Fragzone. If not, I will let you know exactly what's going to be happening. Let me get in touch with the admins. And in the meantime, there's some music.
Really matter to you, it's just a game that I don't want to play. When anyone would say that they feel the same. When you love someone like I loved you, I don't understand the way we are today, and I will never find you on my mind again. I'm giving up on love, I'm giving up on you. I don't know. Please keep your secrets to yourself. Please keep your secrets to yourself. Please keep your secrets to yourself. Please keep your secrets to yourself.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. This was a short break. Of course, it is best of 3, and we are sticking with Moscow 5 versus Fragzone. Of course, Moscow 5 picked up a victory in the first game. We're into the champions, bans, and picks for game number 2. And this time around, Fragzone get first pick, first ban, and instantly have removed Shen. So I think that's a very, very smart move. For anybody that doesn't know or would like a quick update, XHC Hell have already defeated Fnatic in game number 1 of their qualifier. I will bring up the screenshot just as soon as we get into the 3-minute countdown phase. But for right now, Shen and Blitzcrank have been removed from the pool. They have been removed from the champion selection process. We're going to have to see whether or not Morgana is banned as well, because last game she was used to great effect. Moscow 5 have removed both Blitzcrank and Fiddlesticks this time round. Same bans previously. So I'm assuming they're targeted. I'm assuming it's because of, Fragzone have either played these champions or stacked them up quite a lot. Morgana has been banned. So Fragzone not wanting to give away Shen and Morgana in another game. Final ban is going to come from Moscow 5. And of course, then we're going to start the picks process. So Jax has been removed as well. Darien has been playing quite a lot of Jax in the top lane. I have also just found out, guys, that Natus Vencia have also defeated Absolute Legends. According to my chat as well, ladies and gentlemen, Teamless have defeated CLG EU. So in terms of games that have been won, XHCL have defeated Fnatic in the first game. Na'Vi have defeated Absolute Legends in the first game. And Teamless have defeated CLG in their first game. So we'll be jumping into some of the other matches after this one, I assume. I'm double checking what the admins have to say. That's it. Already, let's call them upsets if you want to call it that. Teamless have won their first round, guys. At the moment, we're going to stick with this game, see if Moscow 5 can finish it off. Then we will jump into a game number 3 for some of the other ones if it goes that far. And, of course, the bans and picks have been going through at the moment. Ari was the final ban from Moscow 5. Not being able to ban out Soraka this time round means that Soraka is locked in for Fragzone. Instantly, Moscow 5 reply with a Urgot lock-in. And it's interesting to me because, of course, we've seen Urgot in the last game. He didn't necessarily have the DPS that was being put down from... who was in the bot lane? I just went complete blank. But anyways, didn't have the DPS of Kennen, AD Kennen. But Genji, of course, was one of the first players to really use tanky Urgot in gameplay. It was in conjunction with a tanky DPS lineup that Moscow 5 like to play. So we may see, potentially another Mordekaiser in the mid. We may potentially see a Galio in the middle. There's a lot on offer. Keep in mind, Darius is auto-banned, as is the Athene's Unholy Grail. They are not allowed to be selected or picked or used in these games automatically, as we are on the live server. So Fragzone, they do get their Nautilus once again, but Klunder's going to be able to use that jungler that he did use in the previous match. And we see Soraka Corki being on that bottom lane. So the Infuse, the Astral Blessing from Soraka gives a huge armor buff. I'll check the stats once we actually get into the game, but 20, 30, 40, 50 points of armor at the low level, it's going to negate a lot of the damage that Urgot's going to be putting out and landing with those Acid Hunters. And we do see a hover over Yorick for a few seconds. Before it was hovered over, though, it has been switched. We've seen Twisted Fate. We've now seen Lulu. And that might be Lulu in the mid lane. And I like that. I'm a big fan of Lulu in the mid lane. The Kite ability, the DPS that does come out from those Glitter Lance spells, especially once you hit the mid-game phase, is particularly strong. And the ability to use that wild growth onto one of your champions, like Nocturne, for example, Diamond Prox. He's going to dive onto that middle lane. The second he collides, wild growth is going to be used. That's going to pop somebody up. And it gives them that extra half second to allow the fear to proc off. So I like the pick. I like seeing Lulu in mid lane. I've seen quite a few teams using them very, very effectively. But I have not seen it on Alexish. I have not seen Alexish playing Lulu. So this is going to be an interesting one. Deficio currently hovering over Orianna. Are we going to see an Orianna? That's going to be the question. Is it going to be locked in? 10 seconds. 10 seconds. 8 seconds. And remember, Athene's Unholy Grail is not available. So I'm not quite sure whether or not this is going to pick, the smartest of decisions. She's very, very mana intensive. And Gosu Pepper looking at Swain. So this might be it could be Swain middle, it could be Swain top. Lulu and Swain could alternate. Of course, you do have Orianna and Lulu locked in. So Moscow 5 pulling out some big guns. Nice. Alexish was playing Lulu in solo queue all day yesterday, according to I Hate Magic. Thanks for the update. Unfortunately, I was moving apartment yesterday, so I wasn't able to watch any solo queue games. But is Gosu Pepper going to be locking in the Swain? That's the real question. And is Darien going to be playing Swain then in that top lane? They do have a little bit of time to switch, do a little bit of time to move it around. And then you've got, the potential, the huge wild growth. Oh, it may be swapped to Malphite now. I like that as well. Malphite is a pretty strong counter to Aurelia, especially at the low levels. That ground slam and the seismic shard. Remove the movement speed, give him the movement speed buff, and debuff the carry with that slam. Of course, as I start saying that, it does get swapped out to Riven. So we are going to see Riven in the top lane. That's going to be Darian on Riven. We're going to see Alexish playing Lulu, I assume. Wait for them to swap a little bit. And in terms of our lane matchups, Aurelia versus what I assume is going to be Riven. Mid lane, Orianna against what I assume will be Lulu. Bottom lane of Corki and Soraka against Urgot and Taric. And I think that's very interesting because Soraka is going to be able to use that Astral Blessing, bump up the armor, bump up the health of Corki, and it's going to reduce a lot of the damage that's going to be laid down from Urgot. But of course, if Ghost Pepper is able to get a good dazzle off, it could interrupt that armor buff, could interrupt the spell casting from Winner's Soraka, and that's going to cause some problems. So here is a screenshot of the first game, guys. XHCL versus Fnatic. I'm going to see if I can get hold of the other ones really, really quickly. So that is XHCL versus Fnatic. They managed to pick up the first bracket win, or the first game of their best of 3. I believe this is now Absolute Legends facing off against... who were they defeated by? Not as Vencia. But this looks strange to me because the names are all strange. No, this is CLG. There we go. Sorry. I'm blind. So there we go. That was the CLG loss to Teamless. 13-14 in kills. 40-minute game. Wow. Unfortunately, I don't have a screenshot of the previous one. This is, of course, our bracket. Let's see if it has been updated with the scores. Not just yet, but I'll see if we can get the admins to, get that going. For the time being, though, guys, we are with Moscow 5 against Fragzone. Moscow 5 picked up the first game victory, and they're going to be facing off Fragzone once again. I'm interested to see how this top lane is going to play out. Darian on Riven should be able to counter Aurelia quite hard. Riven can do a lot of damage, and I can see a lot of people messaging, want to see the CLG game. Now, I've got a few of the CLG guys on my selection list. Let me have a quick chat to the admins and see what they say. In terms of the bracket, guys, bracket is in chat. I'm going to throw up a quick commercial and have a chat to the admins, and we will be back shortly. All right, for everybody that is still listening in, I am just having a quick chat to the admins. And see what they say. They do get the final chat. Let's get a vote, okay? I'd like to hear a vote for everybody that is busy listening in and having a chat. Which game would you like to see? That's the real question. Keeping a close eye on things. Moscow 5, CLG. Chat is mostly in favor of CLG at the moment. So CLG is what I'm seeing for the most part. I am going to wait for this game to load up then. I believe CLG are currently in champion select at the moment, so I have to wait for this one to start. All right. What we will then do is we're going to watch 5 minutes of this particular game, 2 or 3 minutes of it, and we'll jump onto the CLG match. It's only CLG and M5 that are currently in the list. What we will do, all right, great. So, Somi, if you're busy listening to the stream, can you drop me a message just as soon as Scumbo Crepo is actually into the game, is actually into the match has started, so that I can actually leave this Moscow 5-1 and jump into that one. The reason I think it's a little bit more interesting to maybe jump into the likes of the CLG game is because of the fact that they've already lost a game. So if they lose another one, they are out. Well, not out. They get dropped to the lower bracket. They do have a couple more chances. But we've seen Moscow 5 very, very strong against Fragzone earlier. A little bit of a slow start, but they pulled it back. As soon as we hit the team fight stages, as soon as we hit those 3v3, 4v4, 5v5 engagements, Moscow 5 just rolled away with it. So we're sitting at the moment, Soraka, Corki, and Soraka and Orianna currently skinless. Nocturne and Urgot currently skinless. Not rocking anything other than the Earth Rider Corki, which is particularly strong. Everybody that's asking about the brackets, guys, the bracket is there. It is in link. It is also in the title description of the show. I do need to just swap my... There we go. Moscow 5 and Fragzone. So we put this up onto directed camera. I'm keeping a close eye on my Skype, because as soon as Scumbag Crepo comes up and running, or his game is running, I will jump over to that match. So, guys, I want some comments. What do you think about the fact that CLG have already lost their first game? CLG 0-1, Fnatic are 0-1, and Na'Vi managed to defeat Absolute Legends as well. That's right, Moscow 5. They need to add the score on my overlay. Whoopsie. Sorry, guys. I just got to Alt-Tab to get this up and running. That's got to be 1. That's 0. That's 1. So there we go. Moscow 5, 1-0 in favor of Fragzone. No first blood this time round. No face checking from Diamond Prox up at the tri-bush. And of course that means, or just it's slightly smarter. You know, never face check. Never ever do it. 1 minute 30. We are on the live server. Nautilus starting with a regrowth pendant, as opposed to maybe armor or boots pots. And nothing exciting. Both teams starting very defensively. Moscow 5 covering each of the entrances to their jungles. Starting off with the Wolves. And of course Diamond Prox, he's picked up the race, so he's going to be going for that early red buff. Hopefully or potentially going then towards the top lane. So the Glitter Lance comes out, gets a bit of damage down. Darien is now putting some DPS onto the Elder Lizard as well. And are we going to see a level 2 gank from Diamond Prox? He's got the Duskbringer out. Hasn't skilled his second ability just yet. Probably, well, opting not. Going to be moving towards that blue buff. But what I liked about that bottom lane is Urgot and Taric took the wolf camp. That is his, that's a pretty interesting one. I haven't seen the bottom lane to setting that up. And at the minute, guys, I've just found out from admins, now we got some pressure. There goes the Dazzle stun. Genji's a little bit out of range. He's going to land a point-blank Acid Hunter without having the Corrosive Charge. I have also found out that, unfortunately, the CLG game was created without Spectator ability activated, guys. So, unfortunately, I'm not going to be able to jump into it. But I will be able to join there for the next game, assuming it goes to Game 3. And if that is the case, we will head over to a CLG game for the next one. So for now, for today, or for this game anyway, we're going to stick with Moscow 5 against Fragzone. And let's try to keep an eye on this middle lane. Alexish playing Lulu. This is something I haven't seen in a competitive tournament. I've heard that he was playing a lot on his stream yesterday in solo queue. And whether or not Lulu can defeat Orianna is something I would like to see. I think the Glitter Lance is very, very good base damage. 136 at the moment, and it also slows 80% for 1.25 seconds. It's a very powerful slow. Once we start seeing the Paranoia ganks coming out from Diamond Prox, it's going to be very, very strong as well. The Paranoia into that Wild Growth is going to be the knock-up, and it's going to allow that Unspeakable Horror Fear to tick off as well. But with the lower levels, Winner and Nikot have put a lot of aggression onto this bottom lane. 19 CS, they've managed to push Genji and Gosu Pepper all the way back to their turret. Gosu Pepper is doing a pretty good job of last hitting right now. Currently sitting on 17 CS to the 19 of Corki. Missed a few there, but of course without having any DPS items, it is particularly difficult under the tower at lower levels. Maxing out that Glitter Lance on Lulu, which is pretty much the standard when you see them being played in the middle. And Diamond Prox just really farming up the jungle. 21 CS to the 22 of Nautilus. He's staying in his jungle, hasn't shown his face yet for a gank. Nor his Baklunda either, to be honest. I think it's that Valor dash. Darian's now moving forward. Now Alexish has moved up to the top. The Hell Pix goes out. Glitter Lance lands as well. Ignite goes down, but they would have needed another auto attack. That's not going to be enough to kill, unfortunately. And that does mean the Ignite has been blown for Alexish now. A small advantage going the way of Fragzone. They know that there's no Ignite in the middle lane, and there's a very small gold lead. But Moscow 5, they do have a game in the bag. So the psychological advantage, knowing that they can afford to make some mistakes or afford to have a game, in their pocket, it's not, it's not something you should rely on. You should never say, hey, we can throw a game because we'll just win the next one. But it's nice to know if you do manage to make some mistakes or make some errors, you can get away with it that way. Or you have a second chance. Fragzone, on the other hand, it's all or nothing. If Fragzone do not pick up a victory now, they drop to the lower bracket, and if they lose a game in the lower bracket, they're out. That is a best of 3 tournament, 2 losses, and you're out. Gold is now bang on even. Gosu Pepper's played very, very aggressively. The Ignite does go down into him. Yeah, unfortunately for Moscow 5, Baklunda's very, very close by. Diamond Prox was exhausted. Compliments of the damage coming out from Diamond Prox and Urgot, or Genja rather. They managed to force back or delay the gank, slow it down. But the sustain that's going to be coming out from Soraka means that they're going to be able to stay in lane and keep that pressure up. She's going to be able to replenish the hit points, replenish the mana. And Tarek just does not have the same level of sustain. His heal at the moment is only healing for 60 health on an 18 second cooldown. He's opting to go for that DPS build with Shatter. Astral Blessing is currently healing 140. So there goes the Dazzle. The Shatter goes out as well. Genja fairly low on mana, so doesn't go for that Corrosive Charge. Wasn't looking for any additional damage from the DPS. And we see Alexish once again moving to this top lane. There is a ward down for Mozilla though. So if Mozilla can get the vision early enough, may be able to fall back. Alexish deciding to come back to the middle lane. Possibly knowing that the ward was there, or having that gamer's sixth sense. His spider sense was tingling and allowed him to move backwards, but we do now have Baklunda coming up in this middle lane. He doesn't have his depth charge, so not going to be able to open with that one. And a very, very passive start to this game. Even the harass has been very, very slow. Neither team, there's just so much on the line. Neither team wants to give up first blood unnecessarily. Don't want to face check or put themselves out of position and give up a free kill. Nikot at the moment, missing a couple CS there. Philosopher's Stone has been completed on Nautilus. So that's fairly early. We would have got that a little while ago, sitting on 400 gold. So we would have got that a little while ago. And that's just going to help him with the sustain in lane. Nautilus or sustain in the jungle. He really needs the mana to keep up his Titan's Wrath. 80 mana per cast. Riptide's on a 10-second cooldown. That's another 60 mana. And his Dredge line as well is fairly high. And in order for Baklunda's Nautilus to keep farming effectively and at an effective pace, he's going to need to keep that mana regen up. And Philosopher's Stone is going to be able to help him that while he's donating the blue buff. Everybody that's asking or wondering, CLG disabled spectating in their game, so we're unable to join them even if we wanted to. It's the fight going back and forth, back and forth. Mozilla does have slightly better sustain than Darien, or has sustain. Darien does not. So, 9% spell lifesteal from the Dorans. It's not going to compare to the spell vamp from the Heaton style. Unfortunately, because the spectator is disabled, it does mean I'm unable to jump into that game. But we will consider jumping over there for the next round. Now, Alexish is once again coming up to this top lane. In the river, we see Diamond Prox and Baklunda. They're now bashing faces. Paranoia is available, as is the depth charge, so that's going to be moving out there. Now, Gosu Pepper's moved in the top lane. Huge pressure, a flash, and the wind slash with Ignite will be enough to pick up that kill. Moving to the bottom lane. Flash was blown by Gosu Pepper, so he had to use his flash to escape. But you don't mind doing that. A flash to get away is really what's important. So 0-1, Moscow 5 pick up first blood. And they are trying to now do a dragon at the moment. Stun comes out into Baklunda. The position reverser is available. Hasn't been used, not just yet. The command shockwave pulls everybody's backwards. 1-for-1 trade. There goes the Paranoia onto Deficio. Diamond Prox opts to run back though. Immediately falls away as opposed to continuing chasing. And that's a very, very low hit points. Now they've flashed over the wall. The Fear is going to proc, and that's going to be actually picking up the kill onto Soraka. So 2-for-1 exchange, losing a support to pick up the jungler, dragon, and picking up a kill in the top lane. Alexish not only managed to pick up an assist in that top lane with Darien, he managed to make it all the way down to the bottom lane and assist during the dragon fight as well. So Moscow 5, great start to this round. And if they can carry on putting the pressure like they have now, they should be able to close out this game and confirm themselves for the next round. I just dropped a message to the admins, guys, asking them about some of the other games, looking for updates. If this does look like it's going to go very one-sided, we will try jump into another match. But no promises right now. I'm just going to keep it up to date and see what we can do. See what we can swing for you guys. Right now, 14,000 to 11,900. 1 dragon, 2 kills. And Moscow 5 really looking quite strong at the moment. Darian, he has not gone back, even with that farm to kill. Currently sitting on 1,400 gold. And I'd like to see what he builds. If he's going to go maybe for a Phage into Frozen Mallet or maybe even a Brutalizer. It's not uncommon. Just going to have to see exactly what Darian wants to build on his Riven in this game. With regards to the Moscow 5 game that's happening at the moment, 2,000 gold advantage. There's the split. Let's just have a look. What did Riven actually build? Still hasn't built anything. Now we got the pressure. Now, unfortunately, Bucklander has moved forward. Depth Charge is going to knock Gosu Pepper out. That's going to hold him in place for a little bit. The Riptide Slow is going to be holding him down now as well. Gosu Pepper turned to try and put some damage down onto Nikon and actually returned quite a fair amount. But unfortunately, wasn't able to pick up a kill. And so unlucky. Just as Moscow 5 commit to an engagement, just as they decide to move forward and stick to the fight, Bucklander moves up from out of nowhere, it appears. Alexish in the middle lane, he's gone Kage's lucky pick, single Dorans, and then the Sorcerer's Shoes. So, going to be relying on that very early spell pad. The AP, and that's really big burst. Help Picks and Glitter Lance is hitting particularly hard. And having the GP5 is also very, very powerful. I notice Genja flashing red with low health. So that looked like a tower dive coming out from Corki. Nothing coming of it though, and Corki's going to be able to replenish that hit points. Genja's down to his last pot. So 150 HP is always going to be able to, you know, drink back. Tariq, of course, only being able to heal up those 80 hit points. 60 hit points, rather. Not leveling up Imbue right now. Sticking on the Shatter Dazzle. And that's what they're looking at right now. Keeping a very close eye on the game right now. Looking at it, I believe... now we've got Paranoid. That's a dive on the bottom lane. They're pushing all the way forward. Position reversal was used. Let's do a quick rewind and see how that was set up. Genja's now going to be moved forward. You can see on the bottom lane, you can see Diamond Prox and Gosu Pepper coming in. They're now going to be coming in through the grass, or at least moving forward. Genja, the position reversal, manages to lock up Winner. Winner completely stunned and locked from Dazzle. Didn't even manage to get the wish off. And that was nicely done. That was a great gank, great coordination. And it just looks like Moscow 5 trying to stamp some authority in this game. Thinking about stealing the blue buff. Moving forward, but now we do have a 4-man from Fragzone set up. The Shockwave, the Dissonance, that's going to be the slow. Aurelia with a long range dash. Wild Growth was used by Alexish. Now she's been jumped on. The Shockwave pulled backwards. Unfortunately, that's going to be now one dead Alexish. It was the right move. They thought about going for the blue buff. And as soon as they seen Aurelia moving down, both Darian and Alexish fell back, but just unfortunately for them, Bucklander was close by. He was able to lock them up with that snare, that slow, and it was all that they needed. So Riven actually going for a BF sword, and look at the damage that radiates out. One more Acid Hunter, Wish was used. If they can get one more Acid Hunter out, it might have been enough. Winner down to 50 odd hit points. Using the Astral Blessing onto Nikod instead. And even under the tower, Urgot, with just the Brutalizer and Double Doran's Blades, is almost able to completely take out a Soraka. Once again, moving forward. There goes the Dazzle. One more tower hit does land onto Gosu Pepper, but compliments of the 114 armor. Very big damage reduction. It's going to be able to tank a little bit more damage than what you might expect. Tariq sitting 2-2-1, so that's a little bit unfortunate. Having picked up 2 of the kills that have happened in the bottom lane. 3 assists on Genja. And you sort of need that gold on Urgot. You sort of need the ability to, you know, get those items, get the defense ability, or get those DPS items as quickly as is possible. Some pings have come down the bottom lane, so Moscow 5 know that Bucklander is nearby. An aggressive ward up top means they can see when Gosu Pepper wants to move forward with that Dazzle. And the gold is stayed stable at 1,500. That early advantage that they picked up from the team fight as well as the Dragon has not snowballed. So credit to Fragzone. You know, kudos to them. They have not fallen further behind after what was a pretty pretty big negative. You know, losing not only the team fight, but the Dragon very early on as well. And Dragon will be back very, very shortly. So Alexish, 5 points into the Glitter Lance, 3 points into Help Picks. Triple Doran's Blades, and currently sitting on... How much gold is that? 800 gold, 4,500 to the 4,200 of Oriana. Bottom lane 4-4, but look at the damage. Help Picks, a little movement speed boost plus Glitter Lance. It's chunking down Deficio constantly. Over and over and over. And Alexish is really in control of this lane. 112 CS to the 119, so fairly even. But every time he pushes forward, Deficio is forced backwards. And you can see the wards now on Dragon for Moscow 5. 2 wards, 1 pink, 1 in the grass. And you can see Dragon is definitely going to respawn very, very shortly. 4-man from Fragzone. Make that a 5-man from Fragzone. Dragon is now up at the 16-minute mark. Darien is now getting closer. Fragzone nervous to start. They don't want to tank Dragon and Moscow 5, so they put a pink ward down. They've cleared out that vision. Now they're turning their attention. The flash goes on to Winner. Now Ghost Reaper is a little bit out of position. Paranoia goes. The Shockwave only manages to catch Genja, but it is enough to pick up the kill on him. No other commitment from the rest of Moscow 5. Now they've dove in there and managed to pick up a reply kill, but it's an 80 carry for a support. The attention is on Darien in this top lane. Corki's managed to escape in the bottom. Deficio does go down, compliments of all the damage from Lulu and Riven. But it's so far a 3-for-2 exchange, and Moscow 5 on the back end. They managed to pick up the kill on Corki. He comes in very, very late, but with very low life. And a 4-for-3 and Dragon, Fragzone, are going to now even this game up. Ladies and gentlemen, we have a game on our hands. I don't necessarily understand why Corki came back into that. He managed to get away. He was so low on hit points. He just was, really shouldn't have stuck himself back in there. The overcommitment from Genja, he was looking for a position reverse. He was hoping to get that off. But he just got locked up from Fragzone. And all of the burst from that command Shockwave just... It focused him down so hard. The Shockwave into Dissonance. I mean, Shockwave hit, call that 320 odd damage. Dissonance at another 300 odd damage. And the rest of Fragzone just jumped onto him, blew him up. No position reverser, no magic resist, no armor. And that's one dead Urgot. So Fragzone take the lead now, in terms of kills at least. They have a Dragon on the table, so a 35-minute Dragon earlier than the previous game. And only 100 gold difference. It seems as though Dragon and the team fights around Dragon are determining which team has the stronger advantage. And 100 gold at 17 minutes is beyond nothing. It is peanuts. Take a look at the items though. Looking at Nikod, he's had his Sheen, he's had a pickaxe and the Ruby Crystal. So it's sort of like an ingredient of Infinity Edge. It's also now an ingredient of Trinity Force plus the Ruby Crystal. There comes the Dazzle. Dazzle into Shatter. Is Genji going to be able to get the Position Reverser? Position Reverser does pull Corki all the way back, even after the Valkyrie. So that was nicely done. Exhaust is down onto Genja. They're going to keep pushing him down, even through the Wish. They managed to take him out. One more Dazzle onto Winner. And with all the auto attacks underneath the tower, a quick 2 kills for Moscow 5. And that was nicely done. Well played. The damage that Genja took from Corki was immense, though. Dropped to less than half life with a Phosphorus Bomb, a couple of rockets and auto attacks from Corki. And that's a very worrying sign, even when you consider he's got the Glacial Shroud up. But Moscow 5, just as they start to, I don't want to say lose a little bit, but they lose a little bit of ground, immediately turn it around with a quick double kill on that bottom lane. Now they have the kill advantage and the gold advantage. So kudos to them. We do also see an invade coming out from Mozilla. Looking just for vision, going to be running almost head first into Diamond Procs. I have no idea what Mozilla's currently doing. Moving, may have thought that there was going to be pressure on that middle tower. Diamond Procs was there, he was floating around, so we can assume that the thinking was save the mid tower, don't give up more towers than you need to. Unfortunately, Moscow 5 had already fallen back. And it didn't lead to anything in particular. Itemization. Oriana's working towards the Zonya's Hourglass first. Need to see Large Rod as well as the Chain Vest. In the middle lane, Alexish is now behind on farm. Compliments of that roaming, compliments of the traveling around. Look at the damage from that big one. The big one bomb onto Genji is hitting very hard. And it's only because he's got 45 magic resist. It's a fairly low number. And that big one currently hits, that's a big chunk. 230 plus an additional 50% on every fourth one. Now we're going to see whether or not Fragzone can set this up. The Dredge Line pulls Gosu Pepper backwards. He gets stunned. The Riptide slows him. Now a depth charge. That's going to knock him up, but he flashes away to safety. Then not committing to the dive under the tower. A dazzle onto Baklunda. Valkyrie forward. Phosphorus Bomb plus 1 attack is going to be able to pick up that kill. One more auto attack from Corki. Oh, it ended up being the damage over time from Baklunda. That Titan's Wrath just chunking away certain hit points. And Fragzone with another great double kill of their own. So they take the kill advantage. This may result in a tower as well if Corki and Soraka stick on it. Diamond Prox is going to move forward, use those Umbra Blades, the Duskbringer, just kill the creeps as quickly as he can. And Fragzone definitely not out of this one. Definitely not out of this game. Bottom tower's 29 hit points. Someone just needs to sneeze in it. Come on, go over there. Look at the ward coverage from Moscow 5 as well. It's quite interesting ward placements when you consider the stage of the game. We only have one tower down. We've not started the big roaming presence. And of course, Nautilus, I don't know. It's interesting ward placement. I would have expected it maybe closer to the Tri-Bush, closer to the river. In terms of vision on behalf of Fragzone, they've only really got the top half of their map covered. And there's the full map vision once again. So tower does go down on that bottom lane. So Fragzone pick up one additional tower. Admins, if you are listening in, can I get an update on any of the other games? If you can jump into the spectate slots, if at all possible. I am asking. I'm trying to find out from now. We'll let you know as soon as I know. But in terms of games, this is game number 2 of Moscow 5 versus Fragzone. It is a best of 3, and it's double elimination. So CLG, they lost to Teamless in their first round. Absolute Legends lost to Na'Vi in their first round. And Fnatic lost to XHCL in their first round. So if Fnatic have lost their game, it's what chat is saying at the moment. I don't know how real it is. I'm waiting for the admins to confirm it. That does mean they're down to the lower bracket. It doesn't mean they're out just yet. They do need to lose another game before they're officially out. We are sticking with this game, guys. We're following this through to the end. And I'm just looking for an update on how the other games are going. Moscow 5, 1-0 for Fragzone. Yep, that's it. So 300 gold difference. Fragzone with a single kill advantage means they've got a very small lead. They of course have a tower down, one tower each, one dragon each. This game is as even as it's going to be. No confirmation for Fnatic. For the admins, they have just confirmed with me they are still in-game, and as soon as the results are confirmed, I will be able to report them to you. The ward from Moscow 5 reveals Fragzone, and now they're going to consider putting some aggression down. Darian's pushing this mid lane tower, so some very good ward coverage. They know where Fragzone is, and the dragon, once again, every big fight we've seen so far has been around this dragon. One has gone the way of Moscow 5, one has gone the way of Fragzone. Which way is this fight going to go? Darian is once again split off from the rest of his team. And I don't like that. I don't like coming in alone, coming in solo. Genji's got the movement speed buff. Tries to land a corrosive charge. Trying to set up a position reverser. In the top lane, Riven and Darren are about to butt heads. Irelia and Riven, rather. Now we've got a proper matchup. Now we've got the 5v5. Let's get rid of that scoreboard. 400 gold difference. The winner of this fight is going to be able to pick up a dragon and a tower or two. Genja has flash and position reverser available. Tower goes down on the bottom line for Moscow 5. And now Moscow 5 are slightly split, slightly, in different spots. There's the little ball. The command dissonance and command shockwave can hurt such a lot. And I'm just waiting for this start, guys. I'm waiting for someone to overstep, or someone to get caught out. They've leashed the dragon now. Moscow 5 have pulled dragon. This is an interesting one. The stun does go down onto Genja. He's forced to flash away. Paranoia dives forward. Wild Growth has now been used onto Nocturne. Position reversal pulls Soraka in between everybody, and a shockwave is very, very powerful. That manages to catch 4 members of Moscow 5. Oriana is the first one to die. The compliments of great focus from M5. Corki is forced to Valkyrie away. Doesn't manage to survive, though. A long-range Glitter Lance picks him up. And Moscow 5, the focus is just so much stronger. They picked a single target, used all of their abilities. A flash dazzle under the turret means Tarek actually picks up that kill. And the focus from M5, just so great. The flash forward, the position reverser, and of course the fact that Glitter Lance hits very hard. Glitter Lance currently dealing 320 damage to every single champion, and the slow. It removes the ability to, that movement speed that Aurelia relies on. The kite ability that Orianna relies on, just completely negated. So Dragon goes the way of Moscow 5. With the kills and the Dragon, that pushes them 5,000 gold in the lead. And it is 100% confirmed now, guys. Fnatic have in fact lost to XHCL 0-2 in game number 1. So they have dropped down to the lower bracket. If Fnatic lose again, they will be out of the tournament. I believe XHCL will then be facing the winner of this game, unless I've got my brackets mixed up. So we'll double check that in a second. We're sticking with this game all the way to the end. And with a little bit of luck, CLG will be able to pick up a victory against Teamless in game number 2. And we can hopefully watch game number 3 for them. That's the real goal. That's what I'm hoping for. So I'd love to watch them, especially having lost the first game. So Fragzone, now what do? How do Fragzone come back from this one? How do Fragzone pull themselves back into this game? The ward coverage from Moscow 5 is pretty aggressive. They're setting up mostly around the Baron area, but not necessarily on Baron. No Oracle's Elixir up for Fragzone at the moment, and I'm looking for the Oracles on M5. No Oracles for them either. And I find that interesting because there was a very, very late Oracle's Elixir in the previous game, and once again, it looks like there's very late Oracle's Elixir once again. So yes, I have it confirmed, guys. The winner of this game of Fragzone versus Moscow 5 will be coming up against the winner. Oh, we'll be facing XHCL. And look at the damage X Officio. 1 help picks plus 1 glitter lance drops into half hit points. Had Alexish opened up with a DFG and then followed up with his combo, it would have been enough to kill him. It would have been enough to take out Orianna. And Orianna relies so much more on positioning. Orianna relies so much more on getting that ball of hers in the right place to land a good dissonance, to land a good shockwave. And if it's not positioned correctly, then all of that damage is completely dropped. I have the screenshot for game number 2 of XHCL Fnatic. I'll pull that up as soon as this is over. This is live, guys. I'm telling you in the top right-hand corner. If you're not watching it from a VOD, it is live. So 10-13. The tower does go down, so they managed to siege one tower while Moscow 5 are slightly split. I haven't looked at the gold graph in a little bit, so let's pull that up, jump onto directed camera. Mid lane, 8,000 gold Orianna to 9,000 gold Lulu. Bottom lane, 8,000 Corki to the 8,000 Urgot. Top lane, 8,400 Aurelia to the 9,700 Riven. So that's the real one. That's the real big damage or big difference at the moment. And especially on a champion like Riven, being handled by a player like Darian, it's incredibly powerful. Look at his build. Bloodthirster and more of Malmortius. The only champion that's really going to be able to kill him will be consistent sustained damage from the likes of an Aurelia, who's currently got Trinity Force, so also DPS build. But I think 1v1 Darian should be able to win that fight. So we do see now there's a recall coming back from winner, and that's a very brave one, because if Moscow 5 are able to pick up on this, they may be able to turn it around and do a very quick Baron. The stun goes on to Mozilla. They're not going to commit to that. Gen just finished his Guardian Force as well. Guardian's Angel, sorry. So Brutalizer, GA, and the Glacial Shot really wanting to stay alive. Keep going in those fights. Even if he does get focused and go down, come back with a little bit more hit points, a little bit more mana. Continue throwing out those Acid Hunters. And Moscow 5, if they ever wrote a textbook, how to win at League of Legends, this would be, the game number 1 and game number 2 would be pretty good examples. They're playing this by the numbers. They're not committing to, team fights that they don't need to. They're not committing to tower dives. They're not committing to silly moves. They're pushing the lanes down. They're playing this by, the safety, making sure they get the creep scores, making sure they get the items that they need. One small overstep from Genji earlier in the very, very first Dragon fight cost him his life, and then the team fight, but it was immediately resolved the next team fight because he flashed to safety. Now we do have Moscow 5 once again split up, and finally we see an Oracle's Elixir on the field. I don't know if there was one earlier. If there was, I missed it. But Klunda sitting with that Oracle's clearing out the wards around Baron. And Fragzone will need to take Baron in order to pull themselves back into this. They need the gold, they need the stats, and they need the pushing power that Baron gives you. Without that, if Moscow 5 can pick up Baron or pick up another decent team fight, I think that could win them the game. You know, one more Dragon victory like we've seen in the last two big fights is all that M5 will really need to run away with it. Now, Oriana does have a death cap completed, still hasn't finished that Zonya's Hourglass. I mentioned it quite a lot earlier that she had the death cap and the Zonya's, but opted not to go for the Hourglass. Now they've pulled Baklunda back into this. Genja now, huge magic resist and armor buff. He's just not completely ignoring everybody. Paranoia dives forward onto Soraka, and a brilliant shockwave. A fantastic defensive shockwave. That pulls Moscow 5 all back. They all just hopped backwards, almost as if they were sucked back in time. Complete counter initiation, and almost as powerful as the likes of a Monsoon from Janna. Well, not necessarily, but now we see Diamond Prox. He's forced forward, manages to get the flash out of Winner. Well, that's strong, because Paranoia will be available before that flash will. And if Moscow 5 can commit to another big fight, then they're going to be able to blow up that Soraka. But great positioning from Deficio, and that shockwave was very, very powerful. Now they are coming in. Ultimates have been blown from Moscow 5. Bakunda's coming forward. Now we're going to see the damage out is great. Alexis is taking a lot in the background. Now turn their attention to Darien. Everybody on Moscow 5 is going low. Wild Growth has been used on Darien, so he's now moved forward. The Wind/Proc has gone off. The first death is going to be Nautilus, but can Moscow 5 finish this up? They picked up the second. Guardian's Angel finally pocked on Genja. Darien moves forward with that Valor into the key strike, and that's going to pick up another kill. And look at the focus. The lack of focus from Fragzone. Every single member of Moscow 5 is low on hit points. You cannot win team fights when you're split focusing like that. You cannot win team fights when you pick one target and go, oh no, he's got GA, or oh no, Wild Growth is now. Got to commit, got to take somebody out and take them out quickly. Alexis was very, very low at the start of that fight. Let's go back and watch that again. I'll pop this onto directed camera and just fast forward it. So we can break it down just, a little bit slower. And just see exactly what turned it around. So here is now the very good shockwave. I just want to get to this Baron fight because I went a little further back than I was hoping to. Once again, we're moving forward. Alright, so now we're back up here. So here comes the initiation. Slow it down. You can see Baklunda goes in. Immediately gets polymorphed, or it looked like a polymorph. Shockwave is out. Now, had Shockwave been available, that would have done damage to 4 out of 5 champions. Alexis is low. Darien is low. The knockup manages to get a bunch of champions there. Wild Growth finally used on Darien in the background. And just so little focus, Corki is now attacking Urgot instead of Darien. The Wind/Slash goes out, deals damage to a whole bunch of champions. Alexis just poking from the background, poking away, getting his cooldowns back, allowed to Glitter Lance. And Riven just comes in there from the back and just cleans house. So great play. And a lack of focus from Fragzone. That is what cost them. So now we're on directed camera. We're going to be fast forwarding to get up to real time. Only a minute behind. But with Moscow 5 once again coming out with a strong team fight win. And ladies and gentlemen, I have just heard that CLG have lost to Teamless 2-0. Team CLG and Fnatic are in the lower bracket, guys. Lower brackets. So we are now fast forwarding up to real time. Fragzone now potentially going to be jumping up. This is 10 seconds behind real. They've grouped up. They've managed to force down a tower, so not too bad. Even though they lost that big team fight and Moscow 5, we're all out of position shopping. Now look at the damage going out. Wow. Alexis is just hitting so hard with Lulu at the moment. That's us now back up to live, guys. 10-16, 6,000 gold. Fnatic and CLG EU are in the lower bracket, guys. So we'll see which of the matchups we're going to follow for the next one. Admins, put some thought to it. We'll put up the bracket or the tournament bracket in just a second. Now we see Moscow 5. They're committing the position reverse onto Winner. Winner gets instantly blown up. Now this is going to be a good fight for Moscow 5. Wild Growth knocks up 2 members of Fragzone. The Shockwave manages to pull 3 champions back, but just there's not enough damage. Compliments of the tanky champions. Now turn it around. That's 3. This is going to be number 4. Can they jump onto Corki as well? Valkyrie is not available. It's not on cooldown. 1 Glitter Lance is going to apply the slow dazzle into Glitter Lance, as well as the help picks. Ace from Moscow 5. I think they should just push this down. Are they going to fall back for Baron? No. They're going to push this down. 45 seconds on the kill counter. Surrender vote comes out. Moscow 5, 2-0. 2-0. And I have just heard, guys, Natas Vencia versus Absolute Legends. They are 1-1 right now. So we're going to jump over to that game very, very quickly. I'm going to quickly chat to the admins and find out what's happening. There's your final kill scores. Is Navi AL live? I'm going to jump into Navi versus Absolute Legends. That's game number 3, guys. Let me pull up the damage graph once again. I love doing this. I love seeing it. Look at the damage from Darian. Nocturne from Diamond Prox dealt more damage than the AP mid. I mean, it's massive. He's hitting harder than Oriana was. So, mad props, mad kudos to the guys. Let me have a quick look on my friend list. Navi Citizen. Invites for game 3, please. So, we're going to be waiting for Navi versus Absolute Legends. I, of course, am going to put the loading screen up very, very quickly and put some music on in the background. Before I do that, though, let's have a quick look at how the brackets are looking. Have they been updated? We have. So it's going to be AXHCL versus Moscow 5 in the top lane, going 2-0.